Welcome to lesson 14.4, page 648, 649, and 650, where we are going to talk about real numbers today because we're going to approximate some square roots to the nearest whole number and to the nearest tenth. So very important for you to pay attention. We're going to do a tiny bit of review, and then we're going to get into approximating, which is very important. So this first video is all about reviewing of the real number system and identifying and classifying real numbers. So moving right along, you recall you should have taken notes from the real number system, but it's something you've already taken notes on before, and that is our real number system. And that we have two types of real numbers, those that are rational and those that are irrational. And we've dealt mostly, almost exclusively with rational numbers, with integers and whole numbers and our natural counting numbers. And we've only done a little bit with our irrational. We've mostly been dealing with pi. But we do need to recognize that there are square roots that are not perfect, which means they are not rational. If it is not a perfect square, like the square root of 2, then you have an irrational number. You have a number that never repeats and never terminates, if you remember and recall the definition of irrational numbers. So in this first video, all we're going to be doing is reminding ourselves about numbers that are rational and irrational in the real number system. So this shouldn't take very long. We're going to classify each real number. So we already know they're real, because there are numbers that are not real. But we already know every single number I'm going to give you is a real number, and now we need to classify. And just a quick reminder, when we classify, if it is a rational number, maybe it's also an integer. And if it's an integer, maybe it's also a whole number. And if it's a whole number, maybe it's also a natural or counting number. So we have to apply all of the classifications that we possibly can for a number. So our first one, we have 0.12122, 1 ... Please remember, what do we know about ... That's right. Ellipsis means that it goes on forever. It does not terminate. And if it does not terminate, that's part of the definition. That's part of the definition for irrational. What's the other part? Yeah, never repeat. Is this repeating? It does have a pattern, but does it repeat? No, it does not. So this is an irrational number. Oops, I-R-R-A-T. Holy smokes, I-R-R-A-T-I-O-N-A-L. Irrational number. Outstanding. Moving right along. The negative square root of 196. Well, we just learned how to do that, so that's negative 14. And negative 14 is, that's right, it's an integer. If it's an integer, it's also a rational number. All right? I always start with the lowest classification and work up to rational. Moving right along, our next one, the cube root of a negative 1,728. Well, is negative 1,728 a perfect cube? If it is, then it's rational. If it is not, then it's irrational. And when you use your calculator, you find that, yes, we get negative 12. So negative 12 is also an integer. Oops. Boy, I'm having a really hard time spelling today. And it's also rational. If it's an integer, it has to be rational. All right? Moving right along. The square root of 27. Well, 27 is not a perfect square, so the answer to this is irrational. Two more today. Let's see. The 81 thirds. Is that rational, irrational, or anything else? Well, let's see. 3 does go into 8 2 times with 2 left over, and 3 goes into 21 7 times. So 27 happens to be a natural, whole, integer, rational number. Okay? Outstanding. And our last one, negative 0.47 repeating. Well, that bar above it says it is repeating. So we automatically know the definition of an irrational says it does not repeat, so this must be a rational number. Quick question, is it an integer? It says it's negative, is it an integer? The answer to that would be no, because it is a decimal number that is not an integer. Remember, integers are made up of counting numbers and whole numbers, positive and negative, not decimals or fractions. So let's go on to our first quick write of the day, or the night. We're going to classify these three real numbers and pay close attention. Write them all down, and as soon as you get them written down, you may then go do them, get a quick break, talk to your mama about something, clean the kitchen, clean your bedroom, come back and take our next video notes. I'll see you in a few minutes.